So in today's agenda, first of all, we're going to introduce Inflectra and Merito. If you're already a customer of either company, obviously you know who we are, but some people we may be new. So just a little bit of background. We're then going to go through the published Atlassian Jira Data Center end of life roadmap. And it's not actually just Jira, it's also Confluence and several other tools that are ending of life. And we're then going to introduce SpiraPlan, which is our alternative for those customers that want the option of either being on-premise, self-hosted, or in the cloud, and don't want to be forced into a SaaS solution when either it's not appropriate or they're just not ready for it. And we've got some additional resources, and we'll talk about migration. And then we have a live demo at the end where you can see SpiraPlan in action. So first of all, let's talk about Inflectra. So at a company, we've been around for 20 years in the industry, providing customers with a solution that helps people improve their delivery. We want customers to be able to deliver high quality software. We want them to do it at speed and at scale, but without risk and at a high quality. So we want to balance those two imperatives. How can we deliver software? There's never enough time, and especially with AI, there's even less time to take an idea and turn it into production. But let's do it safely. Let's manage the risk and ensure we have consistently high quality throughout the software development lifecycle. And that's our mission for 20 years. And we're very excited that a lot of customers are coming to us because they are looking for solutions now that may be alternatives to what they already have in their ecosystem. And as a company, as we have been around for 20 years, we have very strong core values which we've used to build the business. First of all, great products, building for our users and listening to our users. So our customers give us feedback on what they want, and we've been using that to consistently improve the product over time. In fact, that's why we have not phased out our on-premise products and why we do have the option for self-hosting, because customers have told us that. 60% of our customers are on cloud, 40% are on-premise, and we are agnostic. We want our customers to have the right solution for them. And to support a great product, you need a great team. We've got a team that's been with us very, very low turnover that helps our customers, whether they're in customer support, customer success, pre-sales, development, IT, hosting, security, InfoSec, finance. Our entire team is there to help our customers be delighted in our products. And hopefully you experience that if you're an existing customer, and if you're a new prospective customer, you will get to experience that if you interact with us. And to have a great team, you need a great workplace. So we do have lots of promotion schemes and processes in place to promote family and life flexibility. We want people to be with us for 10, 20 years working with us. We want low turnover. We want people to have a long-term career with us. They know our products, they know our customers, and we have long-term relationships. And have a great workplace. Lastly, you need a great community. So we do have programs where we help people get into software testing, into development, into AI, and help to expand the community that we operate in around the world. So let's talk about some of the capabilities. We'll be showing some of them today. Our end-to-end platform covers everything from requirements ideation to testing and quality management to testing, test automation, IT service management, and then obviously things like DevOps, Agile, and also things that you may expect less frequently like risk management, which many tools don't provide. So we cover everything you're seeing here in the Inflectra platform and the Inflectra ecosystem. Now, the suite we have is comprised of several tools. So if you're familiar with the Atlassian ecosystem, it's the same idea. We've got a core platform called SpiraPlan. It comes in 3 editions. SpiraPlan is the full suite for enterprises. SpiraTeam is a reduced version for teams. And SpiraTest is a test management part of Spira that you can use with other platforms. For today, we'll be demonstrating and focusing primarily on SpiraPlan. That's the platform that replaces the Atlassian ecosystem for those customers that want to migrate. We also have additional tools that build onto it, remote launch for orchestration, Chronodesk for IT service management. So if you're a Jira Service Desk customer, that's an alternative for you. And then we have test automation, and we also have our Spira Apps platform in the top right. Spira Apps is our extensibility framework. It's similar to the Jira Connect or Jira Forge platform. It allows you to build extensions and applications to expand the suite and customize it to meet your unique needs. We have Spira Apps built by Inflectra, by partners like Merito, and also by customers themselves. It allows you to have the suite really adapt to your business processes and to your needs. So with that, I'd like to introduce our partner. As I mentioned, we are a company that is built big in community, big in working with our customers and partners. And one of our key partners is Merito, who's been working with us for many, many years. And it's my great pleasure to introduce Louis from Merito.
Thank you, Adam. So a little bit about Merito. We share the same values that Inflectra does. I think that's why we mesh well, of course. It's about having great tools and technologies at our customers. It's also about making sure that we're doing the right thing for our customers and partners and working together. So I am the Merito CTO. My primary role is taking care of our tech stack, but most importantly, helping our customers achieve return on their investments in the tools and technologies and process and navigate the complex landscape that IT is nowadays. So we are a value-added reseller of tools. We don't like to call ourselves a value-added reseller. We are a value-added partner. So if you need assistance in procuring licensing for some of these products and integrating them and extending them, that's what we do. We have solution customization options, as Adam mentioned. Spira can be honed and customized to you and even added onto. We manage our vendor relationships. That's very important. Inflectra is one of our top partners. We do partner with other organizations. As Merito, we are a DevSecOps company, so we have an application security arm and, of course, development and testing. We offer implementation in the tools that you purchase as well. So a tool is just a tool. It needs to be implemented in the right way for your organization with those methodologies that you need to use and integrated into other tertiary systems to provide an end-to-end ecosystem. And then beyond that, we're about developing long-term relationships. We want to be there to support you long after the engagement. So offering support beyond initial implementation is something that we do as well. So I like the slide. I add it to most of our decks because it doesn't talk about a tool or a specific process. It talks about challenges in software delivery. And I think we're all trying to handle that. And in this case, this webinar is about a long-standing tool that's been on premise, that's being deprecated, and moving to the cloud isn't an option for everyone. So in that, what problems are we trying to solve? Disconnect between teams. You have a development team using a completely different set of tools than the QA org, and it's just extremely hard to measure success and traceability between that. You might have the right people, but they might be doing the wrong jobs. And lack of standards and business communication of priorities, where one silo of the business is working on certain initiatives and the other is working on different initiatives. So in general, these are the types of problems we try to solve by helping you find the right tools and put the right processes in place to leverage those tools and reduce noise and tool sprawl when needed as well. So these are some of the different services we offer, along with helping procure the tools. I'm not going to go through each one of these. It's pretty much end-to-end software development lifecycle assistance, whether it's having a package accelerator for example, testing SAP, integrating other testing tools with Spira, integrating other quality and development tools. That's a big area for us, helping you start from scratch. You might be an organization that maybe you are using Jira, but you don't even have a enterprise testing tool or even any test management tool yet. And you need to have some guidance around that. Of course, AI is everywhere nowadays, and understanding how AI is impacting your development timelines, your application security, how the tools and features and functionalities can integrate into that. And it's really helping you where you are, meet you at your maturity level. Perhaps your testing is extremely good, but your project management organization is having difficulties prioritizing and allocating work, and maybe you're never hitting your sprint goals. So these are just some high level areas that we can help out with, and we're happy to do so. Again, this is a high level overview of some of the main areas we focus on. QA and QA practices, application security testing, business intelligence, infrastructure management, helping you even install and set up and leverage the tools that you've procured and putting the methodologies around them. And we're a highly collaborative partner. I think I see some from the panel that there still is a black box in the right corner. Unfortunately, Zoom has a new feature. I think someone maybe vibe coded that we're unable to move the normal controls that you would see off the screen that are normally transparent. So unfortunately, that is there. But just to round out Merito, we are here to assist you in accelerating your time to value with your tools, technologies, and really helping you find the bottlenecks in your deployment pipelines. It starts from ideation of an idea, which becomes a work item to implement a new feature, and then taking it through all the phases of performance, security, accessibility, and then tying it together with a platform like Spira. We've in the past done some really amazing things with integrating application security tools, testing frameworks, accessibility testing frameworks. So all of the things that you might have in Jira work in Spira, maybe in a slightly different way, but also gives you extreme capability to add testing to the mix as well. I think that covers about Merito and us.
Excellent. And one thing I wanted to mention, actually, before we move into the next slide, is one of the great things we've found working with Merito and Louis and his team in particular is that they just jump in and roll up their sleeves and help out. We've had customers where the customer was struggling to integrate Tricentis Tosca with Spira. What mentioned the customers? We've had several actually trying to do that, and they were struggling to configure Tosca, and our support was able to get them so far because we know our integration, but we don't know Tosca very well. And then the Merito team jumped in, rolled up their sleeves, got on a call with the customer, helped them get that configured, and then up and running. So there's been many times where we've come to them and said, listen, they're happy with our platform, but they can't get this one other thing to integrate properly or work. And those tools because you work with so many tools and they're so knowledgeable. And the team just jumps in and helps out. So that's what we love working with Merito. They're an extension of our company. Whatever customers need help, we want to make sure the customer's successful. And that sometimes isn't with our own products, it's with the whole tool chain that the customer has. And so having Merito be part of that conversation really allows us to really support the customer across their entire ecosystem, not just the Inflectra part, which obviously we can help with directly. So just wanted to say that. And that, it's just, again, a great partnership. So just thanks, Louis, for being here today, in fact, on this webinar. So now that's the little bit about both companies. Now, what's going on in the world of Atlassian? So as you may know, 3 or 4 years ago, Atlassian phased out Jira Server, which was their small business on-premise solution that's been around for a long time. In fact, I think Jira Server launched around 2005, about a year before we launched, so it's not about the same history. That's been around for a while, and they deprecated it, and people moved to the cloud or they moved to Jira Data Center. Generally, small companies, I believe, probably moved to the cloud. It was easy, ish. But they did, or if they had larger budgets and larger teams and they wanted to stay on premise, or maybe the plugins weren't supported on the cloud, they went to data center, which really was just a license upgrade. You pay more money, but you get basically the same thing, and you can keep going. Well, last year they shook through everyone for a bit of a shock, where they announced that they're going to actually deprecate Jira Data Center as well. So everyone who had migrated from Jira Server to Jira Data Center now had to make a decision whether they're going to go to the cloud or they're going to find something else. Now, last year, as you can see here in this flow chart, the end date is actually March 28th, 2029. Now, there is one difference. When Jira Server was terminated, I think a few years ago, the license was perpetual, so you could still use it without support. And I know some customers of ours, I believe, are still using it without support. But with Jira Data Center, the license turns off. So on March 28th, 2029, which is about 3 years from now and a few days, Jira, if you have it on premise, will stop working completely and you will be in a read-only system permanently. So if that means you've got 3 years from today, plus a bit of a month to figure out a migration strategy, execute the migration strategy, and then do QA and validation and be fully off the platform. So if you're not thinking about it now, you should be, because 3 years sounds like a long time, but that's 3 years to be fully migrated. And if you've got millions and millions of incidents and issues and plugins and workflows and processes and teams and vendors all using it, that's a major migration effort. So in terms of where they're going, by March 2028, they will be stopping new subscription sales for existing customers, expansions and upgrades, and data center marketplace sales will stop working. So a year before that migration, you won't be able to do anything. You'll be locked into your current subscription with the current number of users and current plugins. There'll be nothing you can do. So you've got effectively 2 years before you're effectively frozen. And starting in about 20 something days from today, you will no longer be able to buy new subscriptions or apps. So you're going to be starting to be down this journey where increasingly you'll be locked into what you have and frozen even before the formal rollout. So You need
Yeah.
to start thinking today. So Lewis, I didn't add anything to that comment.
Yeah, I just had a couple things that you that brought up and tied in. So we have helped customers with their Jira migration journey. So going from Jira Server to Jira Data Center was a license swap, right? Something that you really need to consider as a challenge when you're migrating is there is no parity between on-premise Jira apps and in the cloud Atlassian apps, right? So that's really where Jira gets its secret sauce, which Spira also has the ability to customize and add apps. But if you're not already thinking about that, depending on all the plugins you're using for time tracking or code highlighting or draw IO integration, whatever that might be, that's a really big part of the challenge of migrating. And figuring out that plan is something that you should start strategizing about today. So going from on-premise to the cloud is a big challenge, and sometimes you need your environment to be air gapped and cannot ship your data to the cloud. And so thinking about migrating to another solution like Spira is something to begin thinking about also. So, although it does seem like it's a long ways away, a lot of companies are forcing their customers to the cloud. SAP, for example, or Rise Initiative, they do not want people on ECC on premise anymore. And now that timeline has started several years ago, and the deadline is coming up, you see people scrambling. So this is an eye opener just to help you plan your migration journey, help you think about the challenges, and then we want to partner with you to make sure you're successful. So I think that's what I had to add for that, Adam. Thank you.
Thanks, Lewis. And one thing I would mention, we had a customer, I won't mention their name. They had Jira on-premise, and they were going to go to Jira Cloud, which they have done. But one of their plugins was a task management plugin, which I won't mention, but they couldn't migrate it because their volume of data was so big. So they ended up moving to, in this case, Jira Cloud and Spira Test for test management cloud, and they actually dropped the plugin that was because they couldn't migrate to that plugin's data from the on-premise version of that plugin to the same plugin in the cloud. Because even though it was in theory the same plugin, as you said, it's the same name and the same branding, but it's a completely different technology stack. And the plugin in the cloud didn't support the same features, and in this case, couldn't handle the volume of data. So Atlassian even recommended to the customer that they find an alternative tool outside of Jira for the migration, is what I heard. So again, that was an interesting use case as well. So we do have options where you might go to Jira Cloud, and then you need a third-party tool like Spira to do some of the task management because you can't use the one that's in the cloud because it can't handle the volume or it's too slow. Or the licensing is another issue because Jira Cloud requires parity with every plugin with your license. So moving on from that slide. So if you are looking at alternatives, these are some of the functionality and I think some of the features you're going to want and non-functional features you're going to want. First of all, if you're looking at Jira today, one of the great things about Jira has been it's framework agnostic. It integrates very well with lots of different tools. It's got great dashboards and views. Um, Jira also has, I think, a good price model relative to and good support relative to some other legacy products. So I think in that sense, you want to keep parity of those good things. Now, some of the things that I think Spira adds on top of that, which Jira is not so good at, is bidirectional traceability, the ability to have concurrent users. So you don't have to pay for every single user that might log in once a month to run a report. We've got many customers when they come to Spira, they're surprised by the concurrent user licensing model because they say, well, I've got a manager that wants to log in and run a report. That's one license. Or I've got someone who's going to do like testing for a week and then they're not going to use it till next year. But I want the test results to be logged in their name for compliance reasons, so I can't use a shared user. What can I do? Well, with Spira, it's super easy. Everything's concurrent user based. You can have thousands of named users and maybe only 100 concurrent users because many of them are incidental or only time bound. The other thing is obviously compliance and audit considerations. With Jira, you can build some of this. You can add plugins for some of these things like e-signatures. There are plugins that do some of those. In Spira, it's all native. So there's lots of functionality and features that exist in Spira that maintain what you have in Jira, the good stuff, but add on to it as well. Now, in terms of plugins, Lewis mentioned this, and it's exactly right. The real secret sauce that Atlassian has is its library of plugins. You can add so many different plugins into Jira. Now, Spira has its own plugin system called Spira Apps that we'll talk about. But one of the main differences is that we don't generally use apps for our core functionality. Spira has a very strong core feature set, which encompasses things that might be in Jira plugins. We do have plugins on top of that, but they're mostly for integrations or industry or use case specific features. For example, certain industries want risk management to follow a standard called FMEA for manufacturing. So we have a plugin for FMEA. We have a plugin to integrate with GitHub or GitLab, but we generally are trying to avoid having core features be plugins because we feel like they should be in the core system. The less plugins you have, the less technical debt you're going to have, the less total cost of ownership you have. Because one of the challenges with Jira will be you upgrade Jira, the plugin doesn't work, log a support ticket. Is it a Jira problem? Is it a support problem? We've had horror stories where you log a support ticket to Atlassian, it goes into a queue, it goes to Atlassian for consideration. They then send it to the plugin vendor to make sure it's a plugin issue. The plugin vendor responds with the issue solution, goes back to Atlassian, goes back and forth in a circle, and this could take many, many days. With us, any part of the core system we support with our support team, and any plugin we've written, we obviously support as well. But the core system is much larger in terms of its footprint, so it covers so much more functionality that you're not waiting for six different vendors to try and come back to you with, why does my process not work when I desperately need it to work yesterday? So again, as Louis mentioned, it's a good opportunity not just to migrate to a different tool, but look at what your needs are. When you first installed Jira maybe 10 years ago, you obviously had certain needs. They've probably evolved in the last 10 years. Look at what you're using today, look at the features you need, and then look at the market, and whether it's Spira or a different tool, make sure it matches your needs. Anything you'd like to add, Louis?
Yeah, just on the topic of plugins, I think you really nailed it because every different vendor that publishes to the Atlassian store manages their own support. It's not Jira's problem if that breaks. And we've seen a lot of customers have plugins for test management solutions or other things. And when you're on a SaaS platform, the benefit is you get upgrades and things for free. But the downside of getting those free upgrades and hosted environment is that plugins change and they break and they're out of support and maybe they have a vulnerability. So it's essentially creating tool sprawl without adding another tool. All these different plugins can create complexity. It's really nice because you can hone and customize your environment. But having the core set of features that you need in a single platform, supported by a single vendor, I think is a huge advantage.
Yeah, thanks, Louis. I appreciate that. So let's introduce SpiraPlan. We will be doing an actual product demo, but at first I wanted to overview some of the key features. So first of all, what is SpiraPlan? How does it compare? So SpiraPlan offers functionality, which we'll show you from everything from product management, project management, requirements management, testing, tasks, baselines, issue tracking, source code integration, time tracking, boards, and a whole bunch more functionality. And we have this. If you go to this URL on our website, which we'll put it, which is right here, we'll also put in the follow-up post on our website and the YouTube link and recording. That website in inflectra.com/Jira Alternative has a longer version of this table. We've cut the top part off here to show you. It maps every feature in our platform and how it compares between Atlassian and Spira Team or SpiraPlan. These are the two editions we have that map. If you're a small company, Spira Team is probably the better fit. If you're using things like Jira Align, Jira for Scaled Agile, you'll want to look at SpiraPlan. That has the portfolio and program management and the Scaled Agile functionality. If you're just using core Jira software and some plugins, Spira Team may be sufficient. But it maps each of the features, both Jira itself, but also some of the plugins like Tempo for time tracking, Structure if you want a requirements management hierarchy that's more powerful than a three-level backlog. If you want to look at RM4J, from a test management standpoint, things like Zephyr or X-Ray, we map to those as well. So that table gives you a much longer comprehensive list, but we do have a mapping for every feature you'll be using and the appropriate plugin to the equivalent Spira feature or Spira plugin or third-party tool that we integrate with. One big difference that I will mention before we get into the live application and the overview is in Jira, everything is an issue. Whereas in Spira, we have more sophisticated artifacts. We call them artifacts. They're basically objects. So, for example, a requirement is different to a test case, which is different to a risk, which is different to an issue or an incident, which is different to a document or different to, let's say, a release. Now, one of the benefits of that is you can have more specific workflows and built-in functionality that makes that work. Inside of Spira, there's some other really important features that we built in. Our customers come to us because they have needs for traceability, data security, and privacy. They want to either be on premise or private cloud. They want to maybe install it on their own Azure environment, and they want to be able to control the encryption. So they want it to maybe be cloud, but it's their own cloud, not just SaaS. They want to be able to have the integration between the different data. They want to be able to have support for not just agile projects using Scrum boards, but also maybe waterfall, things that Jira doesn't support without a lot of plugins or customization. The other thing is they want to tie in tools like GitLab or GitHub, and we've got built-in connectors for that. They don't necessarily want to use Bitbucket. So with Atlassian, unless you use their entire suite, you don't get all that functionality. You're doing your own integrations or third-party plugins. With Spira, we've got the entire suite, and we integrate very cleanly with key systems like GitHub, GitLab, ServiceNow, Salesforce, giving you an end-to-end solution. And in terms of functionality and a feature set, in Spira, we have functionality that covers all you would need from a managing perspective, whether that's product management, program management, portfolio management. If you're a small organization using Jira software, we've got built-in dashboards, we've got boards, we've got Gantt charts. We can have features for managers to be able to manage an entire project lifecycle. For the development community, we've got code integration. You've got the ability to tag, as you can see here in the bottom screen, you can tag code commits with issues or requirements or tasks. We've got integration with different IDEs. So if you're working in Visual Studio, or maybe you're working VS Code with a Claude extension or Klein or Kiro or Cursor or any of the modern agentic AI IDEs, we've got plugins for all of those that you can integrate with and see all of your items and tag them. So you can even use the MCP server now to say, hey, Mr. AI, can you build this feature using these 6 requirements and tag the code? So again, very, very natively built for what developers are looking for today. And visibility, you can see we've got syntax highlighting built in, code highlighting, no plugins needed for that. You can see right here in Spira all the code that's changed, who changed it, why it was changed, and manage those merge requests right here in Spira. For the testing community, typically with Jira, you don't have a testing community. You have to put it as a plugin, whether that's Zephyr or X-Ray or something else. In Spira, it's a native feature. We have full test management built in. And we have an exploratory testing tool called Spira Capture, which on the bottom right screenshot, which is also available, that helps you do free-form ad hoc testing and push the results right back into Spira. It is methodology agnostic, as I mentioned. You can be using agile boards for Scrum or Kanban. For Kanban, you've got work in progress limits. For Waterfall, we've got Gantt charts and traditional project management or predictive met planning, as they call it now. And then we also have hybrid projects where you have maybe it's a medical device company that wants to be able to do agile software sprints, but the hardware functionality is going to be done in a more traditional manner. Or maybe it's a regulated piece of software like e-patient health system where you have the software development itself being done in sprints, but you do have to have a formal requirements review and maybe a final sign off, so it's an agile with sort of waterfall bookends. Whatever methodology you have, we support it fully in the system, and it can roll up across those different projects. So you can have an agile project, a waterfall project, and a hybrid project all rolling up to one program, giving you a single dashboard view. In terms of speaking of scaling up and rolling up, SpiraPlan specifically does have built-in scaled agile, the equivalent of Jira Align, I think it's called. So you can have program capabilities. These are basically backlogs at the program level and program boards, and you can then tie those to individual product backlogs and have those all roll up and connect, giving you vertical traceability and visibility. And then speaking of how that looks, this is the conceptual diagram. In Spire, you've got your capabilities, which is your program backlog. And below that, you have your product requirements, which is your product backlog. And Spire does support an infinite level backlog. So whereas I think Jira is limited to 3 levels, Epic Feature Story, we can support multiple levels beyond that as well, giving you increased flexibility. And you can see here how they roll up. So a program capability, for example, customers can manage payments for a financial banking institution. That new capability spans multiple different teams, multiple different products, and you can see it's linked to 4 different backlog items in the products about making payments and scheduling payments and so on. So you can have a program capability that straddles what would in Jira would be 4 or 5 separate products with their own backlog, and it can all integrate together and roll up, showing you when are we going to be able to deliver that capability that maybe the board or the CEO is really keen on. That has to be delivered in Q1. And to do that, we have milestones as well, which is, we have a way of tracking these major program events. We'll show you all this live in the application when we get into the live part of the webinar. So in terms of effectiveness and efficiency, before I do that, Louis, anything you'd like to add on the functionality overview?
Uh, Lots of things, but we'll keep it brief because we only have some time. But I think even if you are a smaller organization, SpiraPlan has some really awesome features to start thinking about portfolio level items. I'm sure every business wants to grow. In addition to that, one of the challenges that a lot of customers have with Jira is reporting. I mean, you can build dashboards and widgets, but if you want to really build some high level enterprise cross project reporting, you would likely either connect to the backend database if you are on Jira Data Center and build your own data lake, or use the REST API. So just some considerations. I'm not exactly sure what the limits are, but a lot of cloud products do have rate limiting with API usage. So if you're really heavily using the APIs, and that's part of the reason you're on premise because you built a scalable infrastructure and maybe a data replication layer, you're not going to have that. So the OData REST API schema that SpiraPlan comes with, you can pipe that directly into a BI tool like Power BI and create some really nice enterprise dashboards. So there's nobody to better explain Spira than Adam, but those are just some of the features and considerations that I think are relevant for this topic. So thank you,
Uh,
Adam.
that's a really great point in terms of reporting. You can build customized reports natively in Spira. You can use OData to push them into Power BI or Tableau or any other enterprise reporting tool. One thing we also do not provide is rate limiting because we don't rate limit you. So if you're on our cloud version, there is no rate limiting of our API, and on the on-premise version, obviously that's up to you. And what rate, if you want to install rate limiting, it's your IT department, not us. So and Jira never used to do rate limiting in the cloud, but they have started doing that. So around the same time they introduced the forced migration from data center to cloud, they also added rate limiting. In fact, our integration with Jira had to be adjusted to account for it. So that is one thing from a consideration standpoint. If you make heavy use of APIs, Spira's cloud or on-premise version neither have rate limiting. So you're fully able to own those APIs and use them at scale without any penalty. Spira comes with over 70, I think maybe now it's even over 80 integrations. Here's some of them. So whatever you're using in your tool chain, we've got integrations, whether that's on the Azure side, like Azure DevOps, or pipelines, or GitHub, or GitLab, or Jenkins. I won't read them all out. There's a bunch of logos. Go to our website. In addition to the fact that there's about over 80 integrations nowadays, we support all of them. So that's the other really important thing, as Lewis mentioned. They're supported. If we built the integration, we support it. And if the other tool that we're integrating with is something you have a problem with, then our partner Merito can help you with that as well. So whichever way you slice it, you're going to be covered from a support standpoint, which reduces your cost of ownership. You also don't need as many plugins, which will reduce your license cost of ownership. In terms of hosting, we host it your way. So first of all, on-premise literally means it could be a physical bare metal server in a air-gapped environment. You do not need to contact our service for anything. Even the license management can work air-gapped. We designed that because we do have some customers working in very high assurance industries where they're working completely air-gapped from a security standpoint. Then, of course, you might want it to be running in your cloud. So maybe you don't want it on a physical server or a virtual server, which is completely fine. You want to run it in your own AWS or your own Azure or GCP or Alibaba. It really doesn't matter. Whatever cloud you want to run it in, again, you can deploy on virtualized infrastructure in any cloud, public or private. And lastly, we do offer our own SaaS option. So if you do want to migrate to the cloud, but you're afraid of the migration, we do have pre-built migration tools to migrate from Jira to the Inflectra cloud, and we do offer data localization and residency. So, for example, we can host it in Asia Pacific, and it can be in Australia, it can be in India, it can be in Singapore. The data never leaves those countries. It can be in Europe. It could be in the USA or Canada. So we do have data residency on a very granular level, more granular than I think than Atlassian offers. So that way we can still meet your data privacy needs, even if you do want to go cloud. And the other important thing is 100% feature parity and API compatibility. So if let's say you decide to go to cloud and then you realize you have to move back to on-premise, we can move you in either direction. Unlike the Atlassian suite, it's the same code base, it's the same API set. We can move you back and forth daily. I mean, within reason. We've done that for clients. We've had clients that started on premise, they tried it out, they moved to the cloud because they wanted to scale up. Then they scaled up so much that they wanted to go back on premise. So we've had clients go in multiple directions, and we totally support that. It's fully reversible. So what now? So let's say you're looking at that 3-year horizon and that 3-year roadmap, and you're worried, and you're thinking, like, what am I going to do? How am I going to get there? I've got 3 years to get there. Maybe I've really only got 2 years to get there because my licenses are going to be frozen in 2 years. So how do you get from Jira Data Center to SpiraPlan? Well, tools and service is the answer. We have migration tools. I'll show you a screenshot what it looks like. And those tools will migrate core Jira data and attachments and other artifacts. And it will also migrate X-ray test artifacts. So we've got integrations today pre-built for core Jira and one of the more popular test management tools inside Jira, X-ray. In addition to that, obviously, we've got experts like Merito who are going to be able to help you with assisting that. Whether that's you doing the migration entirely in-house and asking questions, maybe it's Merito doing the migration 100% for you, completely white glove, or maybe it's some combination where Merito comes in, migrates some of your projects, gets you up to speed, trains you, enables you, and then you can migrate some of the other projects. It's really up to you. We can work in any way that makes sense for you. But it's not just, again, you're not on your own. You've got a combined team with services and products together, working together to help you migrate. This is what the migration tool looks like. It's a migration wizard. It does support both cloud and server for Jira Server/Data Center, and it will migrate over requirements, test results, users, tasks, incidents. It will move over all that information from Jira and or X-Ray into Jira from Jira into Spira completely seamlessly. And again, this is something you can run yourself, or a partner can work with you, or a combination. And depending on the scale of the migration, that's really up to you. Louis, any thoughts
I
on the
do have a
migration?
couple things.
Yeah.
Yes. That's one of Merito's specialties actually is test platform migration, right? Oftentimes to Spiro or other test management tools. But one common pattern we see is a team will be using Jira for their work item management. They'll slap on a test management plugin, which again, to what Adam mentioned earlier, it's just another issue in Jira. It lacks a lot of the advanced features you'd want from a test management tool. Then they outgrow that. Maybe they're trying to go to scaled agile and they decide that they should be an agile release train and they need end-to-end testing across multiple Jira projects, and they have just a single project with issue tracking. So the ability to scale out your testing and go beyond just a plugin based testing infrastructure is very important. And the migration, we Merito often creates custom migration utilities from one test management system to another. One of the really nice things that the Inflectra team has done, again, to help make life easy for their customers, is have migration tools already built out for you to get that important testing data over. And if there's some highly customized edge case that you've added that it doesn't cover, that's when you might get some services from Merito to help with a custom migration path as well. So I
Thanks,
think
Lewis.
that's some consideration. Yeah.
Yeah, and we do work collaboratively with Merito and partners so that, for example, if our migration tool works in the simple case, but maybe you've done something where you want to break the products up as you migrate and do a more advanced migration, we provide the source code to our migration tools to our partners so they can customize them for your needs as well. So it doesn't have to just be the kind of out of the box migration or custom. It can actually be out of the box migration that's then customized. That way, you're not starting from day zero. In fact, one of our big customers, I won't mention their name, but they actually work with one of our partners to create a whole separate migration tool. At the end of the migration, they sanitized it and we put it on GitHub. So we try and share as much as we can with the community, both partner community and customer community, to make, again, to self-empower customers and as well as partners to be able to migrate, integrate, and just really own their tool chain in their system. In terms of the next steps, we'll be showing a live demo of Spira shortly. I'll take the questions first. But Merito has very kindly offered a free SDLC microassessment to help evaluate your efficiency of using Jira and how you can migrate. There is a QR code here. Louis, anything you'd like to add on this slide?
Connect at merito.com is a great way to reach out to us, or go to merito.com and use the contact us form that goes right into our queue for quick processing. So I would actually suggest just going to our website and going to the contact us page. And as far as your micro assessment goes, we want to help you be successful, right? If you're planning on going to Jira Cloud and need a better test management tool, Spira is that tool for you. So planning out an integration, finding out which plugins no longer work or have parity. Um, we'd love to just spend a few hours with you, learn about what you're doing well, what your pain points are, and help you plan a roadmap. Hopefully that roadmap includes implementing Spira because we love Spira. So if you did want to screenshot this and use the QR code, awesome. But really, we want to just be your partner long term. We're not there as a large organization that just puts people there to sit there. We want to be strategic in your roadmap and help you plan for the future. That's why we're doing this webinar so far in advance and not waiting till, oh, hey, did you know tomorrow they're going to deprecate the system? We like to plan and help roadmap and make sure that you're successful in the long term. So I'll just leave it at that and then hand it back to you, Adam, for our demo portion.
So let's see what Q&A we have. Let me look in the chat first. And so the first question was, do you have on-premise and cloud or something in the middle? Well, the answer is we do. We also have the ability to have it in a private cloud. So you can have it in For example, you have your own Azure environment or your own AWS environment. We've got several clients doing this. And what they want is they want the ability to have control over the infrastructure. They don't want to necessarily have it physical infrastructure living in their office where they've got to maintain, but they want the encryption keys. It's very high assurance. They want to be able to log into the database. They don't want Inflectra or Merito or Jira employees being able to see the data. They want it to be completely controlled, 100% locked down by their IT team, but we're still with the benefits of the cloud. So we completely support that as well. So it doesn't have to be bare metal. It can be virtualized. It could be public cloud, your account. It could be private cloud. There's many options. The key is we call it self-hosted because that's why we do that. It's self-hosting gives you the most flexibility. That's why I'm always hesitant to say on-prem. It's literally self-hosting. Whatever you want it hosted in, it's that, whether it's cloud or on-prem. In terms
I
of,
did have
oh yeah, question,
Sorry,
yeah.
one thing to add to that, Adam. So this is kind of like a fireside chat. We don't have a script here, guys. So if we
Yeah,
interrupt or whatever,
yeah.
um, another key consideration is if you are in a regulated industry, not only the artifacts that you're producing in the tool, but the tool itself is regulated. So what we've seen a lot of customers need if they are hosting it in their own private cloud is maybe plugging it into Splunk to collect logs, access logs, user logs.
Hmm.
So you know who's touching the system when it's been modified. So those are some additional things that you get from self-hosting, as well as the ability to monitor and manage the infrastructure and its access as well. And some of our customers like to hold themselves back n minus one major release version just because they have very advanced integrations and stuff, and they don't want something in the cloud just updating automatically and breaking all the integrations they have. So some other
Oh,
benefits of the hosting model.
and good point. Yeah, because you're right. We offer that delayed hosting. So if even our SaaS version, we do offer delayed hosting where you can have your
Oh,
production version locked. We did this for life science customers. So if you're in life sciences, you've got to be 21 Part 11 compliant. You have to get a validate. You have to validate every update. So what we do is your production version gets locked at a known version. Your dev version or staging version is updated monthly as our cloud cadence, and then you can compare the features, and then you can then say, "I'd like to opt into that update now," and then we can send you a validation package. So that way, you can even have the benefit of SaaS, but the control of on-prem or self-hosting. So we do offer that as well. A few questions that came up. Let me see. What about tools for migrating Jira data? Well, we talked about that. Oh, nice to see you, Lars. That's great. Lars, what a great guy we've known for many years. Thanks for coming on today. Oh, one of our current customers wrote, "Wish we'd known about Merito last week because they moved from Jira server to Jira Cloud or data center to cloud, and I guess you could have helped them." But well, good news is in the future, anything to do with Inflectra or Jira, Merito is very well equipped with both products as well.
I
Um,
want to just highlight that we moved last week. That's a pretty impressive statement. A lot of times, these migrations without tools like Inflector provides our last several months, we've been struggling with this, and then we come in late and try to help out. But I'm glad to hear that that migration was
yeah,
good.
exactly. That's great. It was
Oh,
a nightmare.
uh,
Oh
we
well.
try to help. Okay.
Well, never mind. Well, at least we know for the future. Other question was, everything is about cost. Why buy Spire to take away market share from Jira or current system? I'm not sure I quite get the question. I mean, so obviously from a Fetra standpoint, we do want to take market share away from Jira because that's the benefit of a competitive marketplace. We know different tools are in the market: Microsoft, Inflectra, Atlassian, ServiceNow, Salesforce, Tricentis. You've got a choice of tools, and ultimately we want the right tool to be the right fit for the right customer, and that's why we have a competitive market. In a monopoly, you don't get that. So that's more of a philosophical question. But about cost, so in terms of your cost, ultimately you have to decide what's the total cost of ownership. Is it going to be cheaper to go to Jira Cloud or go to Spira? That really is something you have to answer. There's obviously a migration cost. It takes time and effort. That's probably true going to Jira Cloud as well. And then there's the cost of training people and change management, which will be probably higher for Spira, in all honesty, because it's newer, different to your team. On the other hand, you may get the opportunity to cut licenses down. You may be spending a lot of money on 20 plugins times X named users versus maybe a third of X for one system. So it might be a lot cheaper. So that it's really just a cost comparison. But if you are interested in understanding that, we're happy to do a proof of value with you or proof of cost, proof of concept. Both Merito and Inflectra, we can even do an analysis where you can send us what you're doing. We've had some customers on data center send us a spreadsheet where they'll say, "Here's what I'm using. I'm using these 20 plugins. This is my Jira. These are my number of named users. This is my," and we can go on the Atlassian website and get you the cost. It's public. We can come back and say, Here's our cost. Just compare the two. So we're happy to help you with those comparisons, and that way you're making a true, financial comparison from on the license side. Then you compare it to the change management cost. Then it's really up to you. So I would say, really, it's up to you. What's going to be the biggest benefit for your organization?
Yeah,
And
just
there's,
to add
yeah,
on, sorry, to add on
yeah,
to that, the concurrent licensing model is a huge advantage, right? So with concurrent licensing, let's say you bought 50 Spira licenses, you could provision 400 people to the app. And when the 51st person tries to log in concurrently, then you'll get a license notification. But that's a good sign because everyone is using the tool, right? So you may, if you are thinking of migrating to the cloud, the way that Jira's licensing work is it's a seat license. It's cheaper, but you might have 20 users that only use it for 1 hour a month, and you're still paying full price for that license for the same users that are using it daily. So that's kind of a strategy when you are migrating is blending the licensing so you get the most return on your investment in those licenses.
right. And you have to pay for every plugin times every named user as well, every seat as well.
That's that's correct. Yeah.
And then one of our commenters added on, I think Sriram added on the chat. If you want a single source of truth, then there's a cost. There's a cost benefit of having everything in one place versus context switching as well. So again, cost is a
Mhm.
relative. It's a relative it's a relative measure. It's what is the value in cost. So what is the value to organization in being able to use the system? What's the cost in terms of people time, migration time, and license? And we certainly can work with you to discuss what that is. So again, that's more of a individual discussion if you're interested. And before we jump into the demo, which we'll have just a quick sneak peek in the application, we've got about 12 minutes left of our webinar time. If you are interested in learning more about first of all, Merito, you saw the QR code. If you want to learn more about Inflectra, go to Inflectra, the contact us on our website. We'll send a link to everyone who registered for this webinar. Also, you can just go to sales@inflectra.com and email us. And we're happy to have that conversation, do a demo. You can have a POC. We can talk about licensing and cost and understand what is the end-to-end total cost of either going to cloud of Atlassian, going to Spira, comparing the two, and just seeing what's your return on investment. Ultimately, it is a business decision that you will have to make. We can be there to help you, but again, that's your decision, and we respect that. So, no more questions that I can see. Just quickly checking. So let's move into the live application. I will try and hide as many of the Zoom boxes as I can. Uh, and we'll try and fix that for the next webinar. Sorry about that. Okay, so this is SpiraPlan right here. It's a demo instance I just signed up for before the meeting, so it's completely out of the box. No customizations have been done, and it's ready to go. So when you first sign up, you will get an instance preloaded with samples. You can pick which industries the samples are for. For today's demo, I picked the default set of industry, the default portfolio. I picked our core services, which is cross-industry, and I picked financial services, so I get some financial services. Everything you see here is out of the box. If I go into, for example, one of our sample projects, Library Information System, you will see right here, this is a sample dashboard that's pre-configured. It has different views, general development testing. I can click between the views. There's some sample data here. You can see we've got graphs and charts and analytics pre-built in. It covers the entire software development lifecycle, everything from risk management, project management. You can see we've got test graphs, we've got requirements summary, we've got defect counts. If I go to our more general view, you can see we've also got a risk cube and a risk register. I've got a progress table, got progress measures. I've also got burn down graphs and burn up. I can change that and show burn up, burn down, velocity, lots of different analytics and graphs and charts. I can see also a timeline view. What are all my releases and all my sprints? I can see how they lay out over time. And if you notice, this is in light mode. Of course, some of our customers do like dark mode. So it will take the mode of your machine. My machine is set for light, so it defaults to light. You can either take the automatic, which is what your machine is using, or you can override it to use your favorite theme. All the dashboards are customizable. So throughout the application, you can customize them, add them, move things, add things around, and share them. You can also add any of the custom widgets, which are basically pre-built items, any custom graphs that your team has built, or anything from our marketplace that we call Spira apps, similar to the Atlassian marketplace. These are any plugins we've built or third parties have built. They can also add graphs and charts as well. So as well, obviously, analytics are really important, but it's not the whole story. If we jump down into requirements, as we mentioned, we support multiple different methodologies. In a more traditional project, you might have a functional system hierarchy of requirements. In an agile project, you'd have what we see here, epics, features, and stories in a three-level hierarchy. We can visualize this in a in a backlog view like so, in a hierarchy. We can also visualize it in a board view like this, where you can see all of the items, the story cards, and you can see for each story card the task progress, if there is any progress. These are all gray, meaning they're not started yet. You can see test coverage. You can inline edit any of the items. So you've got a full set of Scrum and Kanban boards built into the system. You've also got a release management module where you can build out your releases and schedules, track end dates, track overdue items, and have sprints or phases, depending if you're waterfall or if you're agile. There's a built-in document management system, so you can manage documents, diagrams. You can actually edit diagrams right in Spira, for example, like this org chart you might want to edit. I can go in here and make live edits to it. I don't need a third-party plugin for this. Same thing with spreadsheets. We've got a spreadsheet editor and text editors, rich text and markdown. Everything, of course, is versioned naturally. And as well as being able to build out your requirements and your boards and your backlogs, you can also build out your test plans and test cases. You can do that right here in the system, no need for a third-party tool or plugin. Here's a sample test case. There's the test name. There's the steps. You can see we've got sample data built into it and parameters. This test case is linked back to my stories and requirements in the traceability view. I can also see any defects that have been logged that we call incidents, and those are traced automatically as well. When you run tests, they fail, and those could create test results. Those test results can be both automated using things like Playwright, Selenium, or our own automation tool, Rapise. And all those results will live natively in the system, and you can schedule and orchestrate them or run them through pipelines like GitHub or GitLab. And then, of course, speaking of GitHub and GitLab, we do integrate with, from a code standpoint, with those different tools. You can manage different code branches in Spira. Here I've got a sample Git flow where you can see I've got a develop branch, a main branch, some feature branches, and you can manage that in Spira. You can see the code with the syntax highlighting built in. So I look at a Java file. We can see the Java file right here. You can see any of the commits that were made. Those commits could be done in GitLab or GitHub or Bitbucket, any source code management tool. We currently support both Git and Subversion. Most customers are using Git these days, including ourselves, but we do have some clients using Subversion in the gaming industry or certain other industries where large files are being used, and we do support both. And you can see we've tagged the commits here with a defect, with a requirement. And if you actually click on the preview, one more step, click on the change, you can see in the preview a visualization of all the changes that were made in the code, giving you that code traceability view, allowing different members of the team to share information. When tests fail,
I just wanted to.
oh, please, yeah.
I apologize, Adam, to interrupt,
No
but
problem.
this
No
is
problem.
it's a huge feature that is extremely powerful. And now with everyone vibe coding changes and throwing a bunch of libraries out there and application security as well, seeing what modules were changed, noticing patterns of features that are problems. Jira does have traceability to a code commit, but you got to click on it and then it takes you to some Git repository. So having all of this information in a central repository for accessibility, security, and then just functional testing, being able to see what changed, who changed it, and when it changed, the test that failed maybe because of that change, and the feature or user story that it was traced to for the work to be done. I just wanted to say that I don't know any other platform that actually gives you as many features as this does, and definitely not at the price point that Spira comes in at. So just a little bit of I really enjoy this feature.
Well,
I'll hand
well,
it back
thanks,
to you,
thanks,
Adam.
Lewis. No, I appreciate that. And we do integrate very closely with GitHub and GitLab. We've got plugins where you can launch a GitHub pipeline or a GitLab pipeline from directly from Spira. Get the webhook launches the data back into Spira as well. I think one of the differences is that Atlassian has Bitbucket, so you're kind of constrained if you don't use Bitbucket. It's more limited. We integrate with any of the tools out there. We got plugins for Jenkins, GitHub Actions, Azure DevOps pipeline. So whatever you're using, AWS Code Commit, even Code Build and Code Pipeline and Code Commit. So you can use what your favorite pipeline and tool of choice, and it really gives you that visibility natively. And also when tests fail and things happen, unfortunately, we do get bugs. So there's a full bug tracking, which ultimately is where Jira started out, was a bug tracker. So we have a bug tracking system with all the features you'd expect, where you can track the different bugs, which release they're in, when they were found, where they were verified, who changed it, any comments. All of that's going to be, of course, linked in. If there are links from that defect, you can see this particular defect is linked back to a test result, to 3 different requirements it belonged to. It was found in this test step in that test case. You can see that we also have these commits that fix the bug. All that's visible from this one defect. So you've got incredible information all in one page, in one place, all visible without navigating any into another system, all orchestrated together. And then, of course, all that information is really great. But of course, how do you get to it? Well, reporting is key too. So how great your data is, you want to have a reporting layer. Spira has a very powerful reporting layer at the product and program level. This is a product level reporting dashboard, which I've customized very quickly. I customized it, I should say, or configured it just by choosing these drop downs. So super easy. I added some items to my dashboard. I then chose the drop down so I can slice and dice the data in different ways. For example, like that, and maybe by status like that. You can change it. So the great thing is you can change things in the system and you can basically see the data change. Now, the other thing that's great about Spira is you can also generate reports as well. Detailed reports here, summary reports, all of that's built in. That's all at the product level. But if you want to go to the program level, we can do the same thing. You can go to a program level, for example, customer experience program, and we've got reports at the program level you can add. So you can add different charts and graphs and charts to your program. You can go here and say, I want to add a custom graph or a standard graph to my program. I've also got reports built in. And at the dashboard level, I've got these pre-built dashboards at the program level as well. So you've got program level reporting, product level reporting, all in the system. And of course, not only do we have program level reporting, we do, as I mentioned in my slide deck show, we can also manage program level backlogs and milestones. So a program level backlog looks like this. This is in a board view. If I can also see it in a grid view, it allows me to manage a backlog of a program, and then each of my different products will feed into that. So if I've got some key program capabilities from a sort of safe scale agile model, I want my program backlog to be fed by updates that the team is making. I can pick and choose which of the requirements from the different products ties into that. So here's my program improvement. Look into it. I can see this is the description of the improvement. These are the two different requirements that need to feed into it. And you can see I've got two different teams. I've got my mobile banking team, my web portal team. Those are two different Spira projects, similar to two different Jira projects, but I can have that one feature pull that status up into that one improvement. And that way, I now know that those two features have been delivered. Other features in those products might not yet have been delivered, but for me, I care about this one end-to-end capability being ready for the customer. I can now tell them it's ready. I haven't got to go wade through multiple different product backlogs to try and find, can I release this new end-to-end feature that spans multiple teams? So again, turning data into information without micromanagement. So I think we're almost at time. So that's a really quick overview of Spira. There's a lot more in there. We've got many longer demos already on our YouTube channel. We're always happy to do a private demo. Anything you'd like to add, Louis, before we wrap up?
Yeah, just a reminder, if you are interested in learning more about Spira or getting your SDLC micro assessment, happy to help out. We love partnering with Inflectra, and looking forward to helping you guys out however we can. It was a pleasure hosting with you as well, Adam.
Thank you so much for coming. Louis, thanks so much for presenting with me today. And thanks to our team for organizing this. And look forward to seeing some of you come to us in the near future. So thanks again. Have a great rest of your day or evening, wherever you are.